when we get to it in the topic.
What? These cards actually kind of good. I might buy.
I forgot to move back to the actual thing. I was watching it's on my Discord channel accidentally. Hi everybody, welcome to Discussing Tabletop. It's July 19th, diving deeper into July as we go. Summer
so true.
moves on, and etc. etc. But yeah, Momo, thank you for joining me today.
Yeah.
So I guess
I'm not on here that often anymore. I don't got time to do stuff.
It's just an unfortunate thing that sort of like when I chat with Joe, sometimes he talks about, you know, popping back in here and there, but it's also like he's got such a busy schedule for like, you know, during the week just not having any time, and then it's sort of like, oh, it's the weekend, got to get all the stuff I couldn't do during the week done. You know, it happens that way. So I keep thinking I should just talk with him in a range, like a once every few months stop by.
Yeah. I mean, I barely have enough time to play my 180-hour video game that I've been working for 2 years.
Jeez. Yeah, no. It's the more I reflect upon it, is sort of like finding that time for things. It's like I like good long games, but it's more and more I'm like, you don't have time for them to say.
Yeah, like they keep releasing DLC for them. Well, now I gotta restart, play it again.
Maybe just it's a thing of like, you think wait for the DLC. Sometimes you don't know if you're gonna give it or not.
Man, yeah, I've said it before. The best time to play Owlcat games is like 5 years after they come out.
Yeah, when they moved on to the next.
Most of the time, well, in Wrath of the Righteous case, I think they're still making DLC for that. So I've not played any of that DLC because
I've got to shake my head and be like, I could be like, really more? It's this weird thing of like, my opinion on Wrath of Righteous is there's a core of something good because it's improved from the last one, and there is something that I like about it, but it's also like the aspects I disliked are worse. Yeah, and then on top of that, the side mechanics kind of suck for a couple of reasons, and really the main one being I think it's chapter 4 or 5 restart.
I mean, that's the worst. Just like Act 3 of every Owlcat game is bad.
Yeah, and it was just sort of like in that one, it's like I got used to the army mechanic, but having to restart everything just really sucked. And if it was like a partial restart, I think I would have liked it. I would have been okay with it. But it was a complete restart, so it was like, wow, this sucks.
I already knew going into Wrath, I was like, I'm probably not going to like this because I played the actual adventure for 2 years. So my opinion's already relatively like low and annoyed by that existence. Because that AP took way too long to finish and I wanted to end it.
Yeah, so I mean, again, like there's aspects of it that are great and aspects of it that are bad. So
yeah,
but they're at least refining their craft.
Hey, and they're making an Expanse game, so if that's good, I can finally just fully decouple from Mass Effect as a franchise.
And it's one of those things that's also, I've heard they're doing Rogue Trader, right?
There's 2 more Rogue Trader DLCs at least, and they're doing a Dark Heresy next.
I've been hearing better things about that, at least when it comes mechanically. So I feel
Rogue Trader is very good, especially right now. It's probably the best it's been. I can talk about it during the Warhammer stuff because I've been playing the DLC and subsequent patches. Very good game. Act 3 is still terrible because it's just an Owlcat game. You're never gonna get past that. Act 3 might be the worst act in any of them, in my opinion, because as a Warhammer fan, I hate what happens there.
Dang. Well,
that's just my opinion. I also don't know what happens in Act 3 of Kingmaker because I've never played it, nor will I.
I can't remember about Kingmaker because Kingmaker, like, after I was done, I was like, this was fine.
It was a lot.
My opinion would have been so much better if the finale didn't suck.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it came in. Is like, I understood where they wanted to tell in the story, but it felt rushed. You know, the NPC sacrifice where you have no choice in it, and they just do it. Where like it doesn't matter your relationship or anything like that, you can't affect it whatsoever. Felt like it felt so just in there for the sake of it, and I'm like, I didn't like that.
See, Rogue Trader's like its final act pretty good. However, it has this really unique issue where some of the buffs you can apply stack to 100, so you can just one-shot the final boss very easily. It's like, all right, the game's done, I guess.
It is that weird thing also that like I feel like there is this like it's an annoying difficulty curve where like things are just like super difficult, and then you hit this one point and it's like it's very easy after
you
that.
get to the point where it's like, oh, you've got all this stuff now.
Yeah, but you had to like suffer through sometimes.
Luckily, Rogue Trader doesn't have that because there is not really balance in Rogue Trader. Everything is kind of broken.
I like
it's
that.
It's a pretty easy game.
Having like suffered through, going back to Kingmaker, Act 3, where things feel like nothing is balanced. You know, when you're fighting anything.
Yeah, it's like this is like the opposite of that, where everything's just kind of too easy.
It's like where you wander around and you're like...
They added like custom difficulty sliders, so you could make it harder if you really want to.
I try to make... I think if I ever do a game like that again, I'm just going to reduce the difficulty more. Like, I had it at probably, at very least, maybe standard or a little bit more. Because I felt like I wanted that, like, Pathfinder experience.
Yeah, you did it on the, like... This is Pathfinder difficulty, but also not really, because we didn't mechanically make Pathfinder 1E.
And I think that's where, like, my mistake was, definitely. Having that difficulty. I don't think I learned my lessons between them, because I think it was... that that issue wasn't as heavy in Kingmaker as it was in Wrath of Righteous, where like you're wandering Wrath of Righteous and they're like, well, you're like this difficulty, just encounter this thing that's like effectively 10 levels higher than you. Enjoy.
Yeah, you don't really get that in Rogue Trader.
We should get to the topics.
Should talk about the actual show.
I know. But I guess this is tangential to tabletop stuff, so it's
we'll circle back around to Rogue Trader in the Warhammer chat.
So, this is an interesting one because I don't know. It's an interesting concept. So the people that have been doing the D&D in a castle are now doing a Dungeons & Dragons Dungeon Master University, which is a 2-day symposium by this vacation group that I guess you can go away to I learn to be a better DM.
I mean, cool.
Yeah.
My opinion on this is you don't need this.
Yeah.
Because being a DM, well, it's a lot, is just a time thing mostly. Learning from your mistakes, but I don't know how much this is going to cost. I don't think you'll actually get much from doing this, other than like a experience, I suppose.
I guess
you might want the memories of.
I guess there's some certain aspects that might be better because.
Do I get a little like degree afterwards that I can put on my wall as a prop?
I have to do that. I think the thing about it. Let me just minimize this because I forget. Is the thing that I kind of think where it comes in is because it does mention career building as a professional DM.
Yeah,
and that is a thing that does exist nowadays a lot more. So there are aspects to that could be taught that way.
From that aspect, because being a professional DM is a bit more, a bit harder. Some would say. I would personally say it's a lot harder. Because there's much more of an expectation of like the showmanship and production values when people are like paying you to run a game.
Yeah.
Or when you're running it on stream.
I think it's that thing that like you never know what will be a hit though too, because having watched more shows, like some of them have very high production value. Kelston Stinky Dragon, which I enjoy watching.
Mm-hmm.
That's got a lot of music and sound effect production things, and they bring in voice acting friends to do voices for people, things like that. Where then I watch, I've watched a little bit of Legend of Atlantis. I see a lot of their shorts.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a lot of extra production value except for their intro. More of it is just they're very funny, in a lot of things they do.
They're very they're good entertainers.
Yes, and it does have some production value, but in comparison, it's a lot less. It's just recording a bunch of people having fun, in a lot of ways.
It's such a weird landscape to try and break into streaming D&D, because truly it can just happen. You just get popular one day, because that's just how streaming and YouTube works.
Yeah, you just have to find a unique niche that enough people are entertained by, and you might not even know that niche until you run into it. So
I think a lot of it also comes down to, because Critical Role has been on for so long, I think people are a little, I don't want to say tired of Critical, because obviously Critical still gets the most views, but I think people are maybe want something new and different.
Yeah,
so you get newer groups being more propped up, and as people learn how to play the YouTube Shorts game, their discoverability gets better.
That's a game I have to learn how to play.
The problem is with YouTube Shorts, you don't really make money on it, so it's kind of rough.
I think the best thing that I've heard from that is you use that to draw stuff to your other stuff. It's discoverability. Yeah. That's the point of the shorts. That's why it's kind of it's a weird game, because you're not trying to win that game. You're trying to just get everybody into everything else you're doing.
Yeah, it's super. YouTube is such a weird landscape.
It is. The more I hear about parts of the landscape, that I'm I don't know how that applies to me, because it's different than what I do over in my little corner over here. So it's so weird. It's it's sometimes I wonder, does even YouTube know what they can do with my landscape? Because
the tabletop space in YouTube is so strange, and just really, I know a lot of people who do the kind of content you do just prefer to go to a more of a podcast hosting website and put stuff there as well, because that might get you more views for audio only. Because YouTube is weird with lore videos and very long videos, because it always goes from, it wants you to do long format videos to, okay, no, it doesn't want that anymore. Now it wants 30-minute videos. It's such a volatile landscape of how this site works.
And then the success of there is a lot of success with bots that a lot of people do. So it's that's a weird thing too, because that's an entirely extra side. YouTube landscape's weird.
It's so strange.
So, I mean, this is an interesting concept, but again, I do agree. I don't know how much. It's without knowing exactly the kind of things they are teaching.
I need to know the cost.
The cost, I think, is an important thing about it, because it's. You are right about it. A lot of this stuff is learned through experience, and
it's you can. An industry expert can tell you how to run a game, but a lot of that really comes down to a very wide mixture of things that is just experience and learning how to improv.
Yeah.
Honestly, the best, if you want to take a course for D&D, how to run it, the best kind of course you could take is an improv course.
Yeah. And two of these aspects here are aspects that I feel are good and could be taught, the campaign building, world building, but that is also to writing, and
that's
when you write a story, you have to do kind of things based on that same kind of concept. So it is a skill that can be taught, but it's a skill that's not just a DM skill. So that's why I find it interesting.
Yeah.
It's an interesting idea.
I think I know I don't want to say blinded, but maybe I'm just a little more privileged, because when I was in university, I did take a lot of creative writing courses, so I did learn a lot of those tricks there. To me, that's why I don't feel that campaign building and world building are too difficult, because I have a background in literature and English.
Yeah, that's not my building, so
Not saying like my campaigns are even like that good compared to some people I know. I think they're sufficient. They make my players happy. That's all that matters to me.
I think that's the thing too, is sort of like finding that good balance in a lot of ways is just difficult, you know, and it's finding your own style is tough because you kind of have to play to find that style that you're running at. And when we talk about, you know, like someone teaching that, well, they're probably teaching one style, maybe a couple styles, and there's a lot of them. There's a lot of balance between, like, you know, prep work and improvisation and all that
the
kind
way
of
like
stuff.
I run a game is pretty different from how you run a game. It's pretty different how Lightning runs his games, how River runs their games.
True. And I think that's a big thing too. Like, I think I like doing things like when we were doing Skulls and Shackles and Crimson Throne, where I kind of like, I can take a step back. But having run a game now that I basically am running in my own world and doing stuff like that,
it's a lot harder.
It is a lot harder, but also it's been in a lot of ways easier for me.
It's also more fulfilling, I feel like.
I think it's that thing that, like, I like running the pre-made stuff because, again, like,
the pre-mades are easier. I don't want to say they're better. They most oftentimes they're not. I have said my piece that the first 3 books of the Pathfinder game are usually pretty good, and the last 3 are terrible.
It's this weird thing that, like, I've been running off of, like, being able to come up with a idea, and I don't have to put together as much for it when we come to it, because then it feels like the campaign just, you know, does itself in a lot of ways. Now, like, I did come into a problem because I got into a fight this last session, just to say, but the problem I had was, like, it was hard to find a stat block that I wanted to use. And I just wanted to quickly grab a stat block and then make some changes to it for the fight they were going to have, because they're supposed to be fighting, like, chimerical creatures. So, I ended up, you know, trying to find something, and it was just, that was me trying to use Foundry to search for something, and then, like, Archives of Nethys was being slow. So it was sort of like this.
Because I had a lot of issues with Archives last week as well, being really slow when I was doing Pathfinder 1E nonsense.
It's like I wanted a flying creature in between some levels, and it's trying to figure that out. And I just ended up like I just took a mosquito and made it into like a blood-sucking bird monster. So
I mean that's fine.
But I wanted to be able to like quickly grab that, and I was like, when I was trying to do that, I'm like, I did learn how to use the search better, but I had to do it on the fly, kind of thing like that, you know. Like,
yeah, no, that's fair. It's all a learning experience. It's not like you have the physical book in front of you and just like, all right, where's the like index so I can find the thing I'm looking for. And,
you know, learning a system like Foundry too. But again, it's interesting little problems that you get like that kind of like can draw things down a little bit in the middle of stuff. But I think that's a learning thing always when it comes to sessions. You never know when you're going to have to like take a pause and either make a decision or look something up. And you have to hope when you look something up, it doesn't take long. Because if not, you probably should just make a decision and fix it later, you know.
Me running a Warhammer game, being like, oh god, what paragraph on this novel-length wiki page do I need?
I think it's that thing of, it's always good for DMing. I think the best lesson is, your decision is law until you change your mind. You know, this is how we're doing things for now until I can find some more information. We're just going to do it this way. If things change in the future, oh well.
Not me running a Warhammer game and then giving players some information and then the next week giving them incorrect information because everything is a contradiction in this godforsaken universe.
Welcome. You managed to join us then.
Yeah, things got hyped up a lot more than I thought they'd be.
So people were like,
got hyped up a lot more than they were.
Yes, so they were like, oh, we have all this stuff to do, and you get there and they're like, this isn't a lot.
It's not a lot of stuff, actually.
You know,
I have been there. I understand this.
In fact, the reason I'm late is because I took a nap when I got home.
Oh, nice. Sometimes you just need
rather
a nap.
than jump right on.
So, anyway, it's an interesting idea, this Dungeon Master University. I would like to know more details before I would say stuff. As we said, like, what are they really teaching? How much is it? These are questions to have, and, you know.
Yeah, who did, like, professionals that are going to be teaching you?
Yeah. Okay. Let's continue, though, and we can talk about an interesting thing with Paizo and Titanforge. Technically, this is Paizo, Titanforge, and My Mini Factory. And what they're doing is they're bringing together producing STLs and print-on-demand miniatures a lot more. So I think this is probably a little bit better too, because I'm guessing after everything that's happened with Diamond, and also this is a step back being print-on-demand miniatures. It probably means they can do it more in US and not have to worry about all the tariffy nonsense too. So this is like probably a double move that way.
Also, good that they're selling the STLs for people who have the 3D printing stuff.
Yeah.
It's an easy way just to make money.
So yeah, so it's Titanforge is working on making the sculptors based on the Paizo art, and then My Mini Factory is working on putting together the STLs for the online marketplace. So they're working together with both of them to kind of produce the material here. So I mean, again, they're working with companies that specialize in the various directions, and this is coming up soon. Now, the beginning of this stuff is actually the end of this month is when they're going to have their first material ready. So it's coming out soon that you can get these things, and
very good.
Yeah. So it seems like a good direction overall for the kind of miniatures in the Pathfinder side of things. And honestly speaking, I think we were talking a little bit last week about the Paizo having their little like standees. I think the STLs for people that have 3D printers, which is a bigger thing nowadays, is probably a good thing, because it's sort of like it's that next level up of you know, rather than getting like these, because honestly you can get the PDFs of their like brain kind of think of what they're called, the their standee collections, you know, which you could just print out then also.
We literally just talked about this last week.
Yeah. So having the rather
not
than
pogs,
pawns, their pawn collections. Those are
One
cool.
day these kids will realize how easy they have it with their easily accessible standees and miniatures. Virtual tabletops. You're never gonna relive the glory days of the 90s and early 2000s where you just have to find a random object to be like, this is what this monster is now.
Again, I always tell the story of the horrible Draco Lich that we had the miniature for the like person riding it, but we didn't have a Draco Lich, so it's just someone went into the kitchen, came back, and like the apartment we were playing in, and just put down a jug of vinegar and put the miniature on top of it. And we're like, here you go.
Yeah.
Actual Draco Lich.
Man.
Perfect.
Imagine in like, you know, 30 or maybe 50 or 100 years when we can just basically be like, oh, we need this miniature, press button, and, you know,
go walk in the other room, grab it.
Oh yeah, we'll have the holographic tables if you want to do it in perfect.
Yeah.
Person,
oh
you know?
Yeah, that's true. That's also another thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they already have those big touchpad tables, which are really cool. But...
Those are cool.
There's a lot of very cool tech that's out there. So, yeah. So it looks like they're focusing on things like a lot of the stuff they've done in like the the iconic characters and a couple of like little groups of troops and stuff here.
Makes sense. They got a kobold on the page.
Yeah, I like their little kobold that they're there.
Honestly, that is a very good showpiece.
Yeah. So, keep an eye on that. We'll see how they continue to develop this and what more kind of things they put out in the future. All right, so we can speak of superheroes for a moment because we're getting a new edition of Mutants and Masterminds.
That's good. That's pretty cool.
That's an interesting one because it's like I played some Mutants and Masterminds, the previous edition, back when it came out, but I know the group I was in focused usually more on Aberrant, because, well, the obvious reasons, we did a lot more World of Darkness stuff, and Aberrant was basically another D10 system, where Mutants and Masterminds was a D20 system. So,
it is,
yeah. So Green Ronin's working on a new edition of it. I guess it's been, what do they say here in the thing? Saw something about how long it's been since the last edition was.
Oh, it's been a hot minute.
Mutants and Masterminds.
I want to say it was 2011 was the last time. Maybe 2005, maybe earlier than that. Maybe like 2009.
It was 2011 third edition came out.
That's the one I have a book of. I've never played though.
Yeah, I think that's the one I did a little bit of, third edition. But yeah, no, we didn't play a lot of it. So, again, like, it's a system. As it goes, these systems always need an upgrade, and it's been long enough that definitely we could use one. And there's probably some good lessons in D20 systems that we've had since 2011.
Oh yeah, most likely.
Because that would have been
that would have been when 4E was still kicking around.
Yeah, so I think it was more based on like
like 3.5.
Yeah, 3.5 /
D20 Modern, I suppose.
Yeah, D20 Modern, yeah. I think that's where the third edition Mutants and Masterminds were more based around. So definitely like an upgrade into like the 5e territory.
A lot of quality of life you could do.
Definitely. I feel like something in between those systems and 5th edition would probably be very good for Mutants and Masterminds, because it is like it's a system that requires you to, you know, have a lot of different powers and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I feel like that's the one thing that I felt like it did a pretty good job of, but it was something that I didn't think it was perfect for, because again, it's like its open-ended power systems are always a challenge to deal with.
Yes.
Especially when you put it into something that's a little bit more mechanical, like a D20 system tend to be. I think that's why that's why Aberrant appealed more, because D10 systems, and especially like World of Darkness, is a little bit more open-ended. You can have a variety of different powers. Go look at, you know, your vampire characters and having a billion different disciplines or other things like that, where it works better that way.
So Mastermind, the game with like tables for randomly generating superpowers, and they've got like major, minor, and
they might be.
Powers.
Again, it has been a very long time since I played it.
Got it.
I do not remember.
I think I did a little bit of that because we were going to. Oh, I remember the first time we picked it up, because we never played it. But what we were going to be doing, which again, this is a little story time. We were doing steampunk villains. We were going to do a Mutants Mastermind game with. I just remember that because I think I was going to play basically the person who ties people to railroad tracks, and my power was to generate railroad tracks I could tie people to.
Well, there is a variant called Villains and Vigilante.
I mean, I think this is that might be before that came out, so it was just like we were just making like, you know, superpowered characters. We were just going to be the villains.
I mean, you could play the best comic book character ever made, Dog Welder. Just weld dogs to people.
I'm not going to lie, that was also when like a friend of mine made the most like horrific villain that I could think about. We're like, wow, you threw us out of the water, because they made an evil Mary Poppins that basically
Nice.
replaces children's insides with clockwork, so they are good little boys and girls.
That's
that, you know,
Doctor Who character.
Yeah, so basically, like,
That would just be on Doctor Who.
takes children away and makes them like clockwork children on the inside, so that they're always good little boys and girls. Then, but does
you know, that is just a Doctor Who character.
it kind of really is just a Doctor Who villain that's just like, you know.
Oh, Vigilantes, I think, is a completely different game. Never mind.
Anyway.
It's still a superhero-based game, but it's like, I always thought they were related.
There are a lot of interesting ones, and I feel like nowadays we got a lot more options on it. So, but again, like, this is one of those classic standards that's been around. So I'm glad we're getting an update to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Superhero games probably are the smallest category. Actually, no, probably sci-fi is.
It's an interesting thing that, like, having superhero games are kind of hard to run in a lot of ways because, like, there's a certain style to a lot of role-playing games and a lot of the way people role-play that, like, it doesn't always fit in with the superhero story narrative. And I think
there are a lot more sci-fis than superheroes, but sci-fis are all very specific setting.
It's very hard to emulate comic book storytelling.
Yeah.
I think comic books get a little too weird with it sometimes.
Yeah. And I think there are definitely comic books that are better suited to adapt. But it's also like, I think nowadays where we have a lot more in the superhero genre, especially with like a lot of the bigger mainstream movies, I think those tell stories in a way that are easier to adapt now. And I think
it's not like you can't really do older comics where, like, midway through your comic book game D&D session, you reveal that actually this character is just a clone of the guy he's supposed to be, and the guy he's supposed to be has not actually been in this story at all.
Yeah. There's a lot of that.
Sometimes you can do things like that, but that usually requires, like, a little bit more groundwork, and you really have to plan for this from the beginning. You can't change that. That has to be something that, like, when a person names their character, they have to be like, I'm secretly the clone of someone, that could be made in character creation. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but it has to be from the beginning, and there has to be, like, honestly speaking, for it to work in the story, there has to be hints of that from the beginning. Well, you can't throw that in midway.
If you're gonna run a comic book D&D game, there's one important thing you need to do, and that's you need to pick one of your players to treat that player like the writers of Spider-Man treat Peter Parker. And that's all you have to do.
They really do treat Peter really badly. Yeah. Sorry, Peter.
It's alright. He's like a teenager. No one cares about him.
Even though a lot of those stories...
He's just a guy who suffers so much.
I mean, he suffers so much. His suffering is his superpowers are not made up. Do not make up for his suffering.
It's usually kind of funny in some of the ways he suffers, at least.
Yeah. Oh, Spider-Man.
Kind of also, though, why he's kind of popular is because he's kind of that suffering teenager.
Yeah.
He's your friendly neighborhood superhero. He doesn't really ever do anything that, like, major most of the time.
Yeah.
So he's already contained superhero until they throw him into a crossover. Also, he's the avatar of a spider god. Just don't think about that part.
Yeah.
He's also every single Spider-Man at once.
And it really is.
He gets weird when you, like, look at him a little deeper.
And also, isn't his aunt that raised him actually his biological mother because he slept with her her sister's husband?
That might be a universe. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a universe where Uncle Ben is Spider-Man.
Yeah, I know. But I think that's in one of the main comics, is like that they had Aunt May sleep with,
like, it's
with her sister's husband, and then just give them the baby because she didn't want to raise it at the time, and then she ended up going eventually marrying Uncle Ben and settling down from her wild side. But this is a kind of entire story they tell, and I'm like, what?
I mean, there's a famous
stories.
Comic where Peter Parker gives Mary Jane cancer from sex, and she dies. That's just in a comic. And he's a sad old man in that comic.
That is an actual thing.
I read like 2 comics in my life, and I think both of them were Spider-Man. But the one I remember was him like basically having to convince basically the public, aka his boss. What's the boss's name?
Oh,
the golf guy.
God, I don't remember.
J. Jonah Jameson.
J. Jonah Jameson. Thank you. Yeah, he basically had to convince J. Jonah Jameson
Simmons.
that Spider-Man was going to Africa so he could get himself a ticket to Africa through the company to go and fight a bad guy in Africa.
Nice. Yeah, you don't really, he has to deal with a lot of that. I don't want to cure cancer. I want to turn people into dinosaurs.
Yep, it's that one.
Look, that character is a character.
Where's that guy? Where's that guy? Put him in Marvel Rivals.
He is
Put
also,
that guy
I think,
there.
technically an X-Men villain, but that's besides the point.
Every Marvel villain's a Marvel villain for someone else at this point.
Yeah,
I have no idea who Jor-El even is.
I'm
yes.
I don't know Marvel.
The Jor-El. That's Superman stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
that's
God.
This is Superman stuff. Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah. No, we didn't even want to touch on the DC related stuff. And
God. Yeah. No. Superman gets weird. Oh, right, because he is in, I think, the new movie, which I haven't seen yet, but I do really want to see.
I hear good things about it, fortunately.
Because it's just, I mostly just want to see because Nathan Fillion's in a stupid wig.
It's Jor-El is Superman's father. Okay.
Yeah, and yes, now we don't talk about the Dr. Manhattan when they added in the Watchmen into DC, and that also creates an entire thing. Look, there's stories. There are stories in comics that are like, I'm glad they don't attach
There's a
certain
reason
ones.
that DC has a built-in mechanism to just reset the universe every couple of years.
And there's a reason that, like, there's certain things that just aren't adapted to movies or other media, because it's sort of like, after they're done in comics, other people are just like, that happened. That happened. There's just some stuff.
I did not watch Hailstorm. I wanted to, but I heard that it was I didn't hear great things.
I haven't seen any recent, like, probably in the last 5-10 years shows. I really stopped watching a while ago. So, but so there you go. Nonetheless, there can be very good comic role-playing games, so I'm happy to have Mutants and Masterminds back.
Yeah, I mean, comic books superheroes are fun. They're kind of slowly coming back into the cultural zeitgeist after 4 or 5 years of Marvel movies being absolutely terrible.
I think the thing I can say about any of the CW stuff is there are good points to them and bad points to them, and they just happen. They'll have like a really cool, awesome like storyline and great season, and then the next one will be really awful, and you never know what you're going to get. And then it's just stories.
CW shows are kind of funny.
Yeah. But
oh my gosh. Okay, so I just was looking stuff up about DC reboot. So it's like, yeah, one of them was caused because all universes collapsed into one, causing super changes in history. Then another one later on was the universe split into many multiverses again, which caused another reason. Okay, yeah, you're right. That's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, DC gets wild.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, let's continue on because we can talk about a few more things, and we can talk about a fun book from Achtung Cthulhu. Campy things can be very good, though. So this is a interesting one.
Speaking of camp,
Achtung Cthulhu is camp. I'm not gonna lie, it really is. But this is basically like a lot of like monstrous entities, demons, gods, kind of strange creatures. It's Horrors of the Secret War. Yep. And
a squid monster on the cover.
Yeah. I guess this is exploring, like, this is, like, what would be equivalent to a monster manual or bestiary for this kind of game, I would say. It's threats that you can have, whether it's, cultists and stuff. Because it's World War II, it's basically Indiana Jones, it meets Cthulhu in a lot of ways. That's why it can be camp, because this is the secret war between... You got the team
it's
of
the whole
players
thing of like FDR being like, well, the Nazis are looking for the Ark of the Covenant, so I guess we have to too, just to make sure it's not real.
Yeah. That would do it. It really does. It really does a really good job being like the right, interesting, weird kind of like pseudoscience magic, Cthulhu and Elder Gods, and
it's very like 1950s pulp.
Yeah.
Also, one of the people on the cover is basically just a robe with tentacles coming out of every
Yeah,
part of
that
it.
guy's chilling. He's fine.
Yeah, he's just tentacle robe. That's actually his name, he's just
Sure, that's just me before I put on my makeup.
he's just a pile of tentacles that found a robe, so people can figure about him. It's like, look, I'm just sentient tentacles.
He's wearing clothing, so he's a person.
Yeah. It's like he had to wear clothing to prove he was a person. The sentient tentacles have to be like, look, man, I don't actually have a mouth. I'm just speaking from somewhere, maybe in your mind, but it's fine.
Yeah, okay. This is kind of nuts. This is very pulp.
Very nonsensical. Pulp magazine.
I think like the thing is, Octone Cthulhu, I always like talking about it because they just live up to that camp every time. They're like, look, we're taking something that's like horrific because it's all the terribleness of World War II and cosmic horror.
It's making it a little bit silly.
And we're just gonna make it a little bit silly. Yeah, and we're just gonna add in that,
it's like how
pulp and make
it's
it
like how the like newer Wolfenstein games are on paper horrific, but then you play them and it's like, this is just a little bit kind of silly.
Mm-hmm. I think
Honestly, from what I know of Hellboy, yeah, that probably sounds appropriate.
Hellboy is very, very silly.
Yeah. From what I've learned more and more about like the Hellboy and its source material, it's just like, yeah, this is kind of very silly too.
Definitely recommend reading the source material. It's quite good.
Mm-hmm. That's something I really should go and read. Hellboy is something that's always been on my radar.
Also, recommend watching the Del Toro movies because those are also quite good.
Yeah, he does a good job of capturing like the.
Don't watch the new ones because they're not very good.
Was the animated one any good?
It might have been. I didn't watch the animated one. I meant the new live action one wasn't very good.
Yeah, it that was a little too corporatized. At least the Del Toro one, it captures the feeling of what should be Hellboy.
Yep.
It's not as dark as some of those Hellboy stories. So, anyway, yeah. So if you again, I always recommend checking this one out. It's a 2D20 system, so if you've played any of Modifius's 2D20 systems, you know how to play these. That's like Star Trek Fallout and stuff like that. And I guess that's another one that is, I guess, why Modifius does this well. They do the Fallout one, and Fallout is definitely one of those things where it's like, it's a lot of really horrible stuff, but told in a very kind of campy
Fallout
way.
is very pulp.
Yeah. So.
I mean, you can tell by the. Oh, he might have done that.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that one.
I don't know. You can tell just by like the covers of these books what you're kind of like the style you're getting into. If you've ever seen one of the old like pulp, like the old magazines where you could write a short story and submit it to for like a couple of cents. Payout.
Just like there's just a giant magic robot in one of these images for an enemy you could fight.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I saw
completely
that.
Fine.
Yeah, you know what? And I can see they've got their appeal to people here for the last.
You got
one.
the sexy cat.
You got the sexy cat lady.
It's from what I can tell, it's just beset. But...
Yeah, probably beset, just being there like, hey, you can fight my cultists. Please don't. I'm not Cthulhuian. I'm just Egyptian.
Yeah, it doesn't show the name, but
I would assume
it's Bast. It's Bast.
Yeah, because it's the mother of all cats.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a legally just maybe quite slight changed name. I don't know Egyptian stuff.
Oh, okay. Beset is an alternate. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Bast.
It's
I
got
love
everything.
I say Basset, but it's Bastet.
It's got your furry appeal in there,
They also just have this person that's definitely an ally of yours, and it's just a guy with a pig head.
Yeah, I mean, he's fine.
It's Lieutenant Porkchop.
Yeah,
he's
Pork
on your
Chop.
side.
He's all right.
Yeah, he helps you fight the Nazi scourge.
He's Got the body of a man and the head of a pig.
He does. Just... I really have to run this.
Half man, half bear, half pig.
The more I see it, the more I just every time I see it, I think it's so wonderful. But anyway, let's continue because we do have some more topics to hit up on. We can talk about how
it's not necessarily supposed to be an ally. It seems the lieutenant NPC just as a title for something, which is like trooper lieutenant.
But I guess he's supposed to be kind of like could be on your side and help you.
He's a guy.
He's a guy that could help you. So, Kobold Press has put the information for basically Tales of Valiant, aka Black Flag, and maybe Black Flag reference document that they put in Creative Commons.
Sit.
And it's updated with new material for GMs, because I think they kind of done this recently, and we didn't really talk about it too much, but they made sure to put GM information in there too. And you can just check it out by, like, clicking on the reference thing that they talk about.
Nice. That's always good. We're probably going to be seeing a lot more of this kind of stuff, making use of Creative Commons instead of other source documents like an OGL, which a certain company kind of ruined the vibe of.
Yeah, I think it's just unfortunate that, because of everything with the OGL and kind of ruining that vibe, it's not something that as many companies can do as much. And I think it's just a lot of lessons told. And honestly, yeah, more power to this, because it is kind of like one of those things is putting a kind of aspect of your system in Creative Commons, is just a good way of getting not only goodwill, but again, like, I think we've seen it a lot. Kobold Press does their own thing now, but they also still put out stuff for other, games.
And that's why they made Tales of the Valiant so 5e adjacent, is because they wanted to make it so it's still compatible with 5e.
Yeah.
Which is it is an overall good thing.
Yeah.
I still have not seen much of it because I don't really exist on the internet much these days for my own benefit, really.
Honestly, I want to start a podcast at some point where I'm just basically talking about and going over RPGs.
Would be interested to deep dive into some of these RPGs and learn how to use them mechanically. Because definitely
basically the idea would basically be a basic introduction to the game, what it is, and how to play it. Would be the idea of the.
You
That's
could
in my back pocket though.
You could definitely do something with that at some point. But yeah. So yeah, if you again, they got the links there to all the stuff they put out there, and yeah, they're definitely building upon everything that's been now released. Because again, it is a sister system in a lot of ways to D&D, so they're definitely building their own thing based on it and then releasing their own thing on it. And so kind of an interesting direction to take. So good on them. Cool. All right, we can talk about Godzilla.
Yay!
Yeah, we were kind of talking about
everyone's favorite monster.
Yeah, we were kind of hitting up on this talking about it. So basically, even though the new Godzilla card game, which will be a TCG, hasn't even come out yet, which is coming out in has the original one released? Right? This is October.
I don't think so.
The second one's October.
I might have.
Let me check just to make sure. I thought it.
It did release very recently.
Very recently, that's right. So it's just kind of out pretty recently. I haven't heard a lot about what's going on with it and how people like it or not. Again, it's trying to find some information about TCGs is not always easy for that kind of thing.
Yeah, especially non-American ones.
Yeah, so getting its own TCG is always good, better than being in other places, not gonna lie. But their second booster is coming out in October, and they're going not only Shin Godzilla is supposed to be in that one, but then a lot of the alien monsters, King Ghidorah, Gigan, Space Godzilla, and a lot of scenes from a bunch of different movies they're saying. But it looks as though they're not putting out a very big booster set with this, it looks like, because that's what 29, 51, it's like 70-ish cards still. That's not a terrible booster set, you know. Oh, too bad the Gundam and TCG and Godzilla one.
Heard good things about the Gundam TCG so far.
Yeah, that's like an interesting one. I would again. It's like I don't mind that the market has a lot of options. It's just this kind of like you don't. I was gonna say you just don't want it too saturated and like with your product too.
Yeah, it's $54 for 84 cards.
Yeah, that's not the worst.
Yeah, yeah, that's not too bad. For packs of 12 with 7 cards. I'm just curious, it's that entire thing is figuring out how deck building works and all that kind of stuff. And
I would need to see the rules for this game.
Yeah.
For me to, because otherwise it's just gonna be, well, I'll just buy these to have them as a collector's item.
Yeah. Well, it's that kind of same thing as like I never know. Every time I hear about like how much cards are in a pack of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, I'm like, that's so little. But then I'm also like, that might be an appropriate amount for that game because I don't know how to build decks. I barely know. I know some basics from like other places of how to play and seeing some people play occasionally. I could not play for the life of me. But also deck building, I have no idea how that works. So knowing how many cards you get means nothing to me. So yeah, it is. What's the release date though? Exactly. I'm trying to figure out the exact release date for the TCG, which is currently out. So you can purchase it.
The 50 card deck.
When were you? You're just featuring cards on the social media site. That doesn't help me in learning when you were officially released. Thank you for featuring cards. Okay, great. But I mean, it does give you stats on. God, everything is to the thousands. I feel all Yu-Gi-Oh.
There is a play guide on the website.
Yeah, that's
the
good.
Website.
Okay.
Here's the rules.
Monster deck consists of 4 cards, one of each rank 1 to 4. So basically, you pick. Oh, okay, so you kind of pick your main monster. The main deck consists of 50 cards with up to 10 cards that have invade icon 2, and up to a total of 4 cards for each. 4 cards each for cards. What? And up to a total of 4 cards each 4 cards.
Okay, cool. It came out on the 5th.
With there's a second line. 4 cards each with the same card number between the monster deck and the main deck.
So it came out on the 5th. So that's when it came out. So pretty dang recently. Because it looks like the main material was released with the 2 starter decks and then the first set of boosters. So I assume it'll probably be done this way, like booster sets and starter decks, which is a fine way of releasing. I mean, I think that's kind of the style that Yu-Gi-Oh does it in, rather than like the big collector sets like Magic. So
right, I really do like this. Just looking at the style of these cards. One of the mechanics is a rage card, and it's just a movie poster. It's one of the movie posters.
Yep.
It's pretty fun.
There are definitely some TCGs I just would want to try out at some point in time.
So it seems that
someone who loves Godzilla might buy some of these. I don't know though.
I'm kind of tempted too. I'm a big old fan too. Ooh, card list.
They do have a card list on this website.
I'll search the red cards. Sure, all red cards.
Main phase: play a battle card, use a strategy card, invade with monster card, play monster card, gain rage.
Ooh.
Obviously, by the High C era deck, 'cause that's the best set of movies.
Ooh, whenever this card's rage is increased, send the top card of your deck to your discard pile. If it's a monster card, destroy one of your opponent's rank 6 or lower battle cards. And that's for Godzilla 1954 with his 23,000 threat level.
What's the -1?
I
do kind of interesting to see the newer stuff though that they could come out.
So what's interesting? So it seems like you're actually trying to move your you're almost supposed to move your guy forward. in order to like, and then the idea is you're invading the opponent's thing, and then like you have to like counter or, you know, prevent them from gaining ground. And if they get to the end, then like you win. But if they also counter you enough times, you also win. So it's basically like two monsters fighting. Basically, is the idea.
Makes sense. That's pretty cool. They're kind
basically
of sticking with the thematic of what is going on, you know.
Yeah, because basically you have your monster deck, which is the 4 cards, rank 1 to 4 of the monsters, and then you have your main deck, which is like all the abilities and battle cards.
Sorry, I just looked at the card list and I saw the Godzilla's fucked up kid is in here. Get him out of here. Throw him in the trash.
Ooh. The question of 3 or more players is always a good one because it's hard to tell for multiplayer games. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know enough of them.
I'm sure someone will make a rule set if it's popular enough.
Yes, I don't think by default it seems to be built around the idea of 1v1.
Maybe as they release more, we'll see more of that kind of thing. Here's a question I don't know. Can you play multiplayer for Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh? Because I know you can in Magic as a different rule set.
No
it's hard.
idea.
It's hard for Yu-Gi-Oh. I know that. Because
but it's possible.
It's possible. It's just the problem is that for Yu-Gi-Oh, yeah, you could. You definitely could. I don't think it's as popular because it is a lot harder. Okay. Usually, if you're doing Yu-Gi-Oh in that way, I think it's usually like 2v2 rather than.
Okay. So it's like a 2-and-4 thing. Gotcha. Like, for Magic terms. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just scrolling through the card list and like.
Pokemon,
I appreciate.
I actually feel like that'd be easier to do.
I have no idea. I appreciate that for this TCG, they've like just embraced the silliness of Godzilla because every card is just a still from. It's just some of these are just very goofy stills from the movies, which I love because those movies are so dumb looking.
Okay, I did look it up. There is some basic multiplayer rules. Again, it's like one of those things. It's a system that like Magic's really good because it's very easy to adapt to multiplayer in this case. While these other ones, they require a little work, but they're possible. You know, it's just a little bit of style of play. It sounds like, but the Pokemon one is a little easier because it's just the same game except you can target anybody. You just have to do the same thing, I guess, or something. Maybe because it's a prize-based system, you just have to like see who's the weak link and target them or something. I don't know. Anyway, so this seems fun. Definitely something maybe to explore, testing it out sometime in the future. You know, who knows?
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't have any Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't have any officially recognized multiplayer format, but there are a lot of fan ones.
Gotcha. So yeah.
I do a criticism of this game. Godzilla's messed up son, Manila, the worst character ever made. He reduces your opponent's rage by 1. I think he should really increase it. Because I get angry when I see this fucking thing.
I was gonna say, but what about the thing that was from, was it Return of Godzilla, where it was just about some kid who kept, in quotations, going to Monster Island to hang out with Manila, who changed sides.
Yeah, that movie's bad.
Encountered the weird... But shouldn't we have the card of the weird, like, cat monster that electrified things?
No, because no one should remember that movie exists. It's the worst Godzilla movie, which is impressive.
It's so sad because sort of like I do remember here's old man story. You know, as in me youths in the late 90s, I remember having after school having to basically like because you know just where I was hanging out, you know, the TV I was using wasn't using cable but had a VHS player, and so TV recorded Godzilla movies, and it was like Sea Monster, Return of Godzilla, and a couple others, so you only had a small selection. It wasn't all of them either, so I watched that movie a bunch, and it was bad, but it was what I had.
Yeah, I mean, the true dark secret of my
A lot of
Godzilla watching experience is, for the longest time, the only 3 Godzilla movies I've ever seen were the original, the one with Mothra, and then Son of Godzilla, which is the one where they introduced the stupid kid, and they just abused him for the entire movie, which is like kind of fucked up when you think about it, because that's a baby. And Godzilla's just like thrashing his child.
Look, I own a Tetris game. You know what's on? Game Boy. That's what you got like in like 1990, the original Game Boy, or maybe Game Boy Color.
Yeah, Manila looks like it should be more the son of King Kong.
He's not Godzilla's biological kid. Godzilla's kind of found him in an egg.
Oh,
yeah. Godzilla has a biological kid, I think.
Yeah, Godzilla Jr.
Yeah, it gets confusing.
Godzilla Jr. is also another one that's hard to say if it's biological, because it's so with like there's another egg on an island, but it seems like it was probably related to it. But that's also the newer era stuff too.
Well, Godzilla. Well, it's not Godzilla's biological kid, because Godzilla's cool, and cool people practice virginity. So
Godzilla's also a radioactive mutant, you know.
Godzilla, depending on the Godzilla, is also not cool.
Also agree on that.
On which one it is. If it's Shin Godzilla, no, that guy is not cool.
No, he's not cool.
That guy is gross.
I played and owned most of the Godzilla video games, and this includes.
I'm sorry, most
the
of them
NES 2, which are both bad for different reasons. The first one.
What was the fighting game? I played that one.
The fighting games were good one. The first Godzilla NES game was a very weird game, and it was just barely Godzilla. The second one was technically a Nintendo tactics game, where sometimes you fought with Godzilla, but sometimes you fought against Godzilla or other monsters, and you normally controlled like jet fighters and stuff to weaken monsters and destroy them. It was a game. Anyway, Godzilla Monster. Good. We should move on from Godzilla because this was a great distraction. But the card game looks cool. If you're a fan of it. Hey, we got some more stuff on Diamond, because of course we do. Because we can't get away from this mess that's being happening. So I'm going to put 3 articles in here so we can kind of talk about the 3 articles here. This is the first one. So there's a group of like.
Prove I did it.
Diamond Publishing. Not well.
I know.
You might be related to it, but we don't know. And then of course the information on their plan, an update on their plans to hold the stuff hostage, and apparently it does sound as though like
I'm sure the hostage plan will go well for them.
Well, the last one is a little bit, which was from earlier in the week. It does sound as though, from the words of the judge, that they are at least more in the direction of the consigners rather than Diamond in this case. But again, they're hearing the case, so we don't know how it will go.
Almost certain that this is not going to go in their favor.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Considering what some of the names involved are.
Also considering the precedent this would set.
Yeah.
That because that's basically like, if someone buys anything from you and doesn't pay you, they own it anyway, which is not a precedent any company wants to set.
That would be pretty bad.
So for the comic book side of things, there's a group of 9, a group of 12, 6 individual, and 27 comic or comic-related other publishers that are objecting to this. And this is outside of the role-playing side of things. Because again, they had 182 vendors. And there's so many people being like, no!
Yeah. I mean, I respect the gambit, the attempt. It's not going to go well for you. So, good luck.
Yeah. So... but because there's a lot more. Again, this is a case that's apparently happening a little rapidly because Diamond. We're seeing the fallout of Diamond saying, "Hey, we're gonna do this," and basically now everybody's being like, "Hold on a minute,
Wait a
new.
second. Who do I have to bribe so this doesn't happen?
Who do we have to kill to have you not steal all our stuff? Because we want to be able to sell it?
Sorry, guys. He was found with 2 bullets in the back of the head and he was thrown out a window. It was suicide.
Oh, God. Yep. So, I mean, again, I just wanted to get a little more update on this with these articles, if you're following the case, and kind of say, like, hey, we're seeing a lot more people just throwing themselves into the entire thing and being like, hey, fuck no. So.
Yeah, no, it's not gonna go well.
Nope. How about Warhammer?
There's a bunch of Warhammer stuff that got announced.
Also, I actually want to
yesterday. Sorry, you go.
There was an update from Green Ronin about their GoFundMe. I just found
okay.
all this. They at least raised enough so far that they could actually join in the filing, even though their goal isn't reached yet.
I think it's the thing is
they're able to join in on the fight.
Yeah. It's better for them to be represented in the table. You know, and I think that's what I said the other week. As much as like, it's not for everybody. There's only for Green Ronin. But again, like, it's you want to have a say in what's going on so that you can be in the fight properly. As much as it does seem a lot of companies are basically being like, hey, no. So anyway, Warhammer. There was stuff going on.
Here's a link to a bunch of Warhammer stuff. I'll go down the list. This one's cool. The first ever Kill Team Tomb World, is being remade.
Okay.
It is the one that basically launched the game. It's the Death Watch Space Marines versus the Necrons. So that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool personally. Nice little re-release, technically, with newer and better models. Presumably, I haven't looked at the models yet because there's a lot of them.
I mean, I think that's one of those things. Is I know kill teams are like, I guess
kill teams are where, like, if you want to get into Warhammer, you buy a couple of kill teams and paint them because they are cheap, and relatively available. So. Yep. You don't want to like buy a 2,000 point army and then mess up painting that, because that's like $1,000+.
So there's your intro pack to Warhammer.
This is your intro pack and also a smaller game.
Yeah.
You can technically, I think, use these minis in 40K.
So it's cool they're getting that, getting them their own thing. Neat.
All right. Hey, if you were a big fan of Space Marine 1 and 2, you can now pre-order Titus's helmet, which is just an Ultramarine helmet. So if you really like Titus and the Ultramarines, you can go buy it from Joy Toy, which is still a company name that I find really funny. I'm a child.
I'm not gonna lie. I understand this feeling.
I don't know if it's a wearable helmet. I assume it's not. It is a wearable helmet.
It does have an adjustable headband and inbuilt
it's
electronic effects.
Illuminated eyes. You could play. You could wear it while playing Space Marine 2. It's like a freak.
I feel like that's like a challenge that you do as a streamer. It's like, I'm gonna get this helmet and wear it as I play this game, and hopefully
it's some kind of weirdo.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, okay, if you donate, 500.
But on the helmet stays on while I play Space Marine 2. Speaking of Space Marines, we're getting so many more chapter masters for the tabletop. Chapter masters are just strong characters.
I feel like this could be a nice paintball
event. Kind of expensive one, I think, too.
I don't know how much it costs. I don't think the price is listed. I would think I would have to go to Joy Toy's website to find it.
I guess, getting more unique...
Alright, let's see how much it costs.
Characters. Okay.
It costs $170.
That's probably more expensive than
it would.
Actual.
If you want to cosplay, like if you were like, I want to cosplay an Ultramarine, I could see using it.
Yeah. Same.
We're getting, I think,
helmets are actually the hardest part of any kind of costume to make. So
there's a reason why most of the cool characters in 40k don't wear them, because they look stupid.
I mean, like, I saw some
helmets look dumb. I'm sorry, Space Marine helmets look stupid.
I did see someone talking about why, like, you know, you've seen people take their helmets off, and it's really artistic more than anything, but it's also, like, you know, there could be story reasons behind it, but it's also because
the guy
like,
without the helmet, you can tell he's the main character. That's why they do it.
Because then he can, like, yell loudly, they can hear him. Maybe
yeah,
his helmet's damaged.
you can see his
because
face.
Story. Yeah. My helmet's damaged because story.
Eldari helmets. Oh, the weird little, like, Eldari helmets are weird and gross, like the Eldari. Except for my Eldari waifu from Rogue Trader. She's the only good one.
So anyway, Chapter Masters.
So we're getting a bunch of Chapter Masters for the Salamanders getting one, Imperial Fists are getting one, Raven Guard, Iron Hands, and White Scars are getting one, and we're getting a bunch of combat patrols for Space Marines, because, spoilers, the new Space Marine game that you can play called 30k is here. So they want to just be like, hey, here's more Space Marines for your 40k game. Give us money, please.
Yeah.
To be fair, they look cool. I'm a big fan of some of these legions. Others I don't care about. Like the Raven Guard, I don't care about them. They're stupid.
Aw, you're insulting the poor bird
Iron
people.
Hands. The Iron Hands, let me tell you about them. Their leader is called Mr. Iron Hands. He leads the Iron Hands, and his ship is also called, you guessed it, the Iron Hands, basically.
They have a name. It is Iron Hands.
Yeah, don't get too ahead of yourself, because that guy's not around too long in the Horus Heresy.
So,
but I like the White Scars a lot. They're one of my favorite legions. Salamander's pretty cool. Imperial Fists. Dorn's a cool dude.
Yeah.
We're getting another giant book series to follow up the Siege of Terra. We really needed another massive book series from these guys. It's going to detail the era between the Horus Heresy and 40k proper, called The Scouring, where the remaining Primarchs all vanish mysteriously because they don't want them to be there anymore until now. And also, they suck at hunting down any of the traitor legions because you can't kill them or you don't have a setting.
Will it give us a book telling about that guy who everybody hates, who, like, made it that, like, the ecclesiarchy can only have women or something? You know?
Oh, Goj Vandire? He probably will get a book, I imagine.
Yeah. That's so
Goj Vandire, or as the lovely Adeptus Ridiculous podcast has come to call him, Doge Vandire.
It seems appropriate, I'm not gonna lie, hearing about that guy.
He is maybe one of the worst people in the Imperium, somehow.
It's saying a lot for the Imperium, I'm not gonna lie.
The Imperium's pretty bad. He's basically Hitler. You can pre-order the new Horus Heresy edition, Age of Darkness. I don't know much about it because I don't actually really like the Horus Heresy stuff too much. Because, spoilers, it's just a bunch of big, beefy men fighting big, beefy men, and that's the worst part of Warhammer, in my opinion. Is the Space Marines. I don't like Space Marines very much. Bunch of new vehicles for Horus Heresy. Now we move into fantasy.
Fantasy.
Which I don't know a lot about, but we're getting a board game. We're getting a board game expansion for a Warhammer Fantasy board game called Warhammer Underworld. I assume it's a little battle, like, skirmish game. But it looks like it's centaurs, which is cool. Centaurs and Chaos Dwarfs, I presume.
Okay.
Speaking of Chaos Dwarfs, Age of Sigmar is finally getting Chaos Dwarfs as a proper army.
Ooh, okay.
We're getting more Flesh Eater Corpse stuff and more just undead stuff for Age of Sigmar. The Tomb Kings are getting new models. Tomb Kings, I'm biased towards. They're my favorite Warhammer Fantasy faction.
They do have
they
a
are
lot of
they're the Egyptian skeletons. Can you, if I like the Tomb Kings, can you guess which other Egyptian themed faction I like from 40k? It's a real mystery.
The Egyptian skeletons from 40k.
Yeah, the Egyptian skeletons, but in space.
Because they're robot skeletons. Yeah, but they're really cool. Just skeletons, but also robots now.
Look, they're not made of bone. They're made of necrodermis. They're different.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're getting, finally, Games Workshop has stopped ignoring the faction they specifically made to have squats come back. We're finally getting more League of Votan stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting our space dwarves. They're finally getting models.
I guess that's they brought them there for squads, so they would have been like some of those. Like...
They brought them there to bring squats back, kind of, and then they've just kind of been ignored. For 2 editions.
Because when you talk about it that way, it sounds as though they wouldn't have been really like you couldn't really build a big army for like
no, I don't think they were like, because they used to be treated, I think, as abhuman. But now they have their own. They're getting more stuff, so you can properly build them out. It's a little late. They should have definitely had this stuff out like beforehand.
It's that weird thing because I think they're technically abhumans, but they're their own faction.
They're so weird. I love them. They're technically abhuman, but they don't consider themselves abhuman, which thus makes them Xenos.
Yeah. I think it's the entire thing is like, because they're like, we love AI, we don't want to be part of the Imperium.
We love our AI cores that are slowly degrading and going insane because
don't worry about
the writers of this setting are obsessed with the dying out doomed species trope.
Yeah, they do that a lot. Not wrong.
Shout out to anyone who likes the Eldari. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But specifically the Leagues of Votan are getting a codex, which is good.
That's kind of cool.
And some combat patrols and just a bunch of stuff that is kind of really needed. And that's your rapid fire 40k announcements, because there were plenty of them in a 2-hour-long event.
They threw a lot out there, apparently.
They love just like having, here's one day that has 1 billion announcements.
Don't worry about it. 1 billion announcements.
Well, and I guess I could talk about Rogue Trader for a bit, because I've been playing the new DLC Lex Imperialis, where you get to be a space cop, basically. Well, space FBI, I guess, would be the more close approximation. It's a good DLC. Rogue Trader, great game. If you're looking for a balanced CRPG, you're not going to find it here. Everything's broken and nothing quite is well balanced or well made. Everything is very in the player's favor unless you are playing on the super hard mode. Even then, I've heard it's still pretty easy. Because in this DLC, you can get an animal companion. And not only you can get an animal companion, everyone can take the class to get an animal companion, which means you have 12 characters.
You get 12 pets that you get to murder people with.
You get 6 people and then 6 pets. They're very broken. They have, for some reason, they gave the dog an ability where the further it moves, the more damage it does, and you can move it multiple times on its turn. So it's pretty OP. They added shields, which are quite fun. They added batons. The new class, Adeptus Arbites, or the Arbitrator, is very fun. It's very shotgun-based. It's a shotgun-based class, or shield-based class, because that's what they're known for. They're Judge Dredd.
Yeah.
They're very broken, very powerful, because every encounter I've had, I've just literally walked up to the boss, shotgunned them, and knocked them prone, and just kept doing that every turn. Because shotguns now knock people prone, and they also throw people back. So I had an encounter in Act 2, when you get to this footfall, the station footfall, where you're ambushed by gang leaders. So I literally just walked my character up to the gang leader, shot once, she fell to the floor prone, walked forward a tile, did it again, and did that 4 times in my turn. And then she died. Because it's a broken class. And I don't know if they're going to rebalance anything, because They never really have.
It's not something you've done.
No, because it's a single-player game, so it's fine if the player is very powerful, in my opinion. It also doesn't help that I'm kind of making purposely powerful builds because I want just an easier time. Most of the combats for me have lasted like 2 rounds because the character Cassia has a giant cone ability that effectively can just one-shot most enemies in the early game. I think on one mission I had her just step forward and she killed like 12 dudes in one turn with her lidless stare ability. Just a big damage AoE. AoE ability is just really broken in this current version, though Cassie has always been the most OP character just due to how her class works. So it's a lot of debuffing, and then enemies that are debuffed take more damage from her abilities. And then her abilities that do damage debuff them more. So it's a cascading effect every time. Because debuffs and buffs stack very high, a lot of them stack to 100. So every time you use something, you're just going up in damage basically infinitely.
Interesting.
So I do recommend it. I think Rogue Trader is currently 50% off on the Epic Game Store if you fancy using that site. Which there's nothing wrong with using that site. It's perfectly fine. It's a perfectly fine storefront. I just keep forgetting I have it on my computer.
Honestly, it's another one of those things. It's sort of like I also agree. It's a perfectly fine storefront if you just want to get a game there, and it doesn't really matter where you get it at. It's just like trying to remember that it's there, like checking it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's not much more to say about Rogue Trader because I haven't experienced the DLC proper. I've met the new character, but I haven't gotten him in the party yet. I don't know when you're supposed to get him, but you meet him in Act 1. He's pretty cool. He's a cool dude, and he's finally like a proper gay male romance, because that didn't really exist in Rogue Trader beforehand, because Alcat used to be based in Russia, so there was a lot of things they couldn't put into the games. Now that they have moved their offices to Cyprus, they can do a lot more stuff that would previously have been illegal in Russia to show. So it's all looking good for Alcat.
They can open up those Baldur's Gate 3 romance options where you can.
Yeah, and they've already promised that there will be more romances in Dark Heresy. I believe they have. I don't know if they have directly said it, but I believe they've hinted that there will be a Mechanicus romance, which people were deeply disappointed that you could not romance the Mechanicus character in Rogue Trader.
I want to romance the barely considered a cyborg
bang
person.
The cyborg man,
who's probably more robot than anything.
He's got those mechadendrites though.
Your romance is logical.
Yeah, he's just. I mean, people like Pascal. I think he's cool. I don't think I would ever romance him, because why would I when the elf exists?
Yeah. Anyway. Shall we get into our deeper discussion topic?
Yeah. Toasters need love too. That's true.
So this is one that because just last week we pushed it to from last week to this week, and this is one that when we were talking about it, it was interesting because I think you and I can have a better conversation about this, Momo, than with
most likely
secondary markets.
Sorry,
especially for CCGs, TCGs. That's kind of where we're talking about here, and I thought it's something that should be discussed because we are seeing it bloom in interesting ways nowadays. And this is something that, like, I didn't think was a full topic to talk about, but with us talking about it here, I kind of wanted to mention. I saw an article this week that's showing that old Magic cards are losing value.
Yes.
Like old, like, pre-2000s Magic cards, which is weird because they've also gained so much value. Like, oh my god.
It's weird and also good.
Yeah. I know, Magic cards losing value.
Yeah, Magic we can get into it a little like further down, but it's weird because Magic is while experiencing a kind of a secondary market boom, it's also slowly collapsing in price.
Here's the thing: there's so many cards that have gained value in ways I didn't expect. Like, I'm going to talk about this here. I was chatting with Blaze and Joe because Blaze and I, we all three of us are classic Magic players from early 2000s, kind of era when we originally played. And I got, back in the day, a Gaia's Crater for $30. It's $800 now.
Yes.
It has gone up in price more than I was even expecting. And I'm like looking at that and I'm like, when the hell did that happen? And this was, I got it because it was really good in a deck for $30 back in the day, and I thought that was expensive. I'm like, my deck could really use this card. I guess I'll splurge on it and buy it. And now it's like, what the,
Yeah,
and, like, I don't know when some of these cards got as expensive as they did, because I was only watching like some of the newer market, Oh my God,
so one of the interesting things about it's so weird because a lot of these cards have gone in price because Commander obviously has become infinitely more popular.
Yeah.
And these are one of the few places where these cards are legal.
Yeah, I can see
but it's also just like because it's a ramp in mana is so important in Commander. So I think that's one of the big reasons why it's gone up in price.
I can definitely see Commander. Like, I think that's what I thought about it too. I was like, it had to have been Commander that's caused this. But then, like, you're also like, it's legal there. Why hasn't it been reprinted?
No, I don't think this effect gets reprinted very often. The like tap and then add mana for each creature you control. I don't think there's any other card that does that in Magic.
Yeah. I think there's a couple other cards that do similar things, like I think it's Tolarian Academy does it for artifacts, which is probably up there now too.
For artifact.
Like, I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, there's the classic Orbird, which is kind of similar to what it makes everything a swamp.
Yeah.
It's also a very expensive card.
You're like, oh god, Urborg's expensive now too. God.
Urborg did jump up in price. Well, Urborg's always kind of been expensive.
But like Tolarian Academy, like I remember getting that for, let me see how much it is right now.
Sorry, I like how we say.
Oh, it's banned in Commander now, so it's.
Sorry, I like how we say Orbird is expensive, and then I look it up, and actually it's only $70.
It's still expensive
because it's been reprinted more than once.
Oh,
it's actually been reprinted a lot.
Yeah, Tolarian Academy, which also hasn't been reprinted. It was in Vintage Masters, which I think is an online set, so it's restricted in Vintage and banned everywhere else. That's actually, it's banned in Commander, so I guess it's not that expensive, but it also is like still like $100. So,
it's only $100 just because it has the collector's value.
Yeah,
they're not being like other cards like this, right?
God, I'll have to remember that I can't use that in a Commander deck anymore.
No, I don't. Yeah, well, it's still legal in Canadian Highlander, I assume. So if you want to play that messed up game,
look, it just means that it's the difference. It's that sometimes sort of like some of my old decks are either Legacy or Vintage, and it depends on what's in them. And my artifact deck, it's Vintage because it's got one Tolarian Academy in there.
Yeah, it's Vintage now.
Yeah.
I mean, I did remember a card that existed that I don't think has literally any other ability. Like this ability only exists in this card. The card Sex Appeal, which I believe is banned in every format except like Canadian Highlander, because Canadian Highlander doesn't really ban stuff very often, I assume.
I think it's banned.
Sex Appeal is
rape
card that. Yeah, it's also a fucked up card, to be quite fair.
Yeah.
So Sex Appeal is from. It's unglued, so it's not like legal in a lot of things. But it's the one that is like it does. It prevents 3 damage. Here's what I'll just read. Prevent the next 3 damage that would be dealt this turn to any number of targets divided as you choose. If there are more people in the room of a different gender than you are as you cast this spell, prevent the next 6 damage this way instead. There's besides it being on blue, there's a reason why this card isn't like allowed. It's just stupid.
I mean, really great if you're a female player.
Just a stupid card.
You're okay. Yeah, it's more even now. That's classic.
It's also very cheap.
Creatures and/or players, so yeah.
It's also only 20 cents because it's banned in basically everything.
It's interesting to see that you can definitely look at prices now, and I think if we're gonna take Magic as our prime example, because Magic is a very good example of a secondary market that's been around for a long time, and generally speaking, is pretty stable, except there was the big crash around Prophecy Alliances in that time period. I don't remember. It was basically pre-modern. There was a big crash that happened. Mm-hmm. Only the oldest cards retained price, but everything that was from basically dark on to that point in time crapped out on value. And I can say that that included things like Gaia's Cradles and all those stuff that are really good now. They all were dirt cheap for a period of time because everything crashed.
Mm-hmm.
And the secondary
market happen again.
Oh, it probably will, depending on, because that was a combination of oversaturation, honestly really bad card design in a lot of ways, and just too much product, and there was a lot of factors to it.
Nowadays we see crashes with specific sets more than the overall game.
Yeah, so that kind of thing may not happen now. But we've seen that the secondary market has also gained a lot of prices, and we see these weird spikes now. I think taking examples of what the hell's been going on in both the primary and secondary market and the incidental secondary market for Final Fantasy. What I mean by incidental secondary market, that's scalpers.
The speculative market as well.
Yeah, the speculative market. The stuff that's been going on related to that has been what I would call insane. And it has just been such a mess. And I don't know what's going on, and it's sort of to have a good, healthy game, you have to pay attention to this.
Yeah, the good news about the Final Fantasy cards is they're collapsing in price rapidly because it's a standard set.
Yeah.
And the commander decks, which were previously going for several $100s, they're all basically down to MSRP again.
Yeah.
But that only happens here because it's a standard set that's going to be printed for multiple years. Versus the Warhammer commander decks, which were not serialized to be reprinted very often, and those cost hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. What was the MSRP? I'm looking up them. I guess they are.
They were a little higher. I think they were somewhere between, depending on the deck, around $70. They were marked up because they're a well-known IP.
Yeah.
So they're already more expensive than your average commander deck. Because I pre-ordered the Edge of Eternity's deck. Those each were $47 MSRP.
That's all I have to kind of say about that a little bit, though. It's
the Final Fantasy cards are already at a premium markup because it's Final Fantasy. So to compare, a booster for Final Fantasy I think is $8 versus Edge of Eternity's I think is $5.
Yeah, so
it's already got the markup built in, and then on top of that, the secondary market came and was well, Final Fantasy players are going to want these, so we're going to sell them even higher.
I think this leads us to expanding beyond Magic, because it's not the only secondary market to talk about something let's bring in Pokemon here, because this is a one where we can see this.
Pokemon has the bigger problem with it.
Yeah, where those
Magic got a taste of Pokemon's problem.
Yeah, and I think that's where we're getting into the secondary market on Magic is not great, but it's relatively, I would call it, a healthy market. Healthy
It's
doesn't
healthy,
mean...
it's volatile, but it's still like affordable for most
Yes.
people who play Magic. Like half of my commander decks that I've built, I can get at a reasonable price between, well, quote unquote reasonable for a Magic deck, between $200 and $400, which is very cheap for a decently powerful commander deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And I do want to say, I have looked at you mentioned last week Yu-Gi-Oh! I have looked into it in a little bit, and honestly, the secondary market for Yu-Gi-Oh! Is honestly fine right now. I mean, so Yu-Gi-Oh! Does a lot of reprintings of older cards, so that's like, it doesn't drive up demand too high. I mean, like, yeah. There was apparently something that happened around the COVID, where there was a lot of people buying up cards for some reason, like hoping that there was going to be a big boom. I think it just ended up popping.
Yeah, that was Magic too.
I think from my hearing about it a little bit, from who talked about it a little bit when he was collecting it. Was it Chilled? It was Chilled Chaos.
Yeah.
Because he's into Yu-Gi-Oh! And he did a bunch of like collecting a bunch of cards and stuff. And I think he talked about it a little bit, just on his streams and stuff. Again, using some of that information. I feel like what was going on was during that time period, there was a spike very close to the Pokemon spike, where there's like, there's those big chase cards. And the chase cards become exorbitantly expensive, way outside anything. And these chase cards can be good pieces, but they're also just very good collector's pieces. And it's when they're both is when it's a problem. If it's just, oh, that's really cool, we like having it, it's not necessarily bad if you have a chase card.
I also want to point out the interesting thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is excluding the literal, like, one-of-a-kind, there was only one of these Make-A-Wish promo cards ever made that's very expensive because only one person has it. The most expensive Yu-Gi-Oh! Card is still cheaper than a Black Lotus in Magic.
Yes. So that's the other thing too. Like the biggest thing for Yu-Gi-Oh! In terms of price is basically the like shiny rarity foils they have, because they have like I think they have like five tiers of foil basically, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and that apparently is basically the only thing that drives the price.
Yeah. Was it last year that a Black Lotus sold for like $2 million?
Might have been. Honestly, might have been. I'm just trying to like look up more expensive versions of cards and stuff like that. You know.
Yeah, there's one other thing I wanted to mention about Yu-Gi-Oh! That probably part of the reason it's also a lot cheaper is because people almost exclusively buy Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards for playing Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yes.
There's very little collecting.
A lot of people. The reason Pokemon's out of control is Pokemon is a very collector-heavy game versus like a player game.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that's the thing is, that's why we see a lot of it in Final Fantasy, because Final Fantasy, as I think is kind of agreed upon, a lot of this spike has been because we've brought in a collector's group to the Final Fantasy Magic set.
Final Fantasy people who want just to have a card of their favorite character. Because you're seeing this issue with Final Fantasy where I think if you want a more like longer version of this, the Geek Enders episode more recently with Amy the Amazonian, I think went into it a bit more. You're seeing that there are expensive cards because they are good, mechanically good, and then there are expensive cards because they are a popular character. Yep. You don't get that with most Magic sets. You usually only get the expensive cards are just mechanically good.
And I think it's like, even this is new to Universes Beyond in a lot of ways, because up until now it's either been Secret Layers, which start at the base price anyway, the cards, because they're limited runs, they can get expensive.
That's a whole other fucking mess.
Or they're like the commander decks, where the commander decks can get price, but again it comes down to what's going on with it. And I feel like there is a little bit of that popularity, but it was never like this. This has been a kind of like difference here, which it's kind of a poison to a secondary market.
This has been such a shock that collectively the Magic community has like been, hold on, pump the brakes. This isn't like okay. And there's almost been this like collective thing of, well, we're just gonna wait for the prices to collapse, and that's what's happening now, because these cards are being printed more, so there's more in circulation, and people aren't buying them yet, so the price is just collapsing, like kind of rapidly.
Again, like it's these games are collector pieces. Also, you very well can. But they are meant to be games and collector pieces, and when they swing one direction, it's not necessarily good. If they swing too much in the game direction, the market completely collapses. There's no value. If they swing too much in the collector's market, it becomes Pokemon.
Yes.
Which we can see the problems when there's these like super expensive chase cards in Pokemon where people are opening pack after pack to get them, and they are just really expensive to begin with, and like, you know, there's all the scalping that goes on with Pokemon cards because of it too. We always will see it kind of like it was egregious hitting, you know, the Magic thing, and I think that's just, you know, scalping is part of the secondary market, and it's worse when the secondary market is unhealthy.
Pokemon, I think the last year with Pokemon, I think, has really introduced people into the concept of help, like, not just people who are in this hobby, but people who are very much outside of this hobby, being like, oh, this is like actually a problem. Like, there are grown adults fighting with children to get cardboard to sell.
Yeah. And the kids just want to have it to either.
And the kids just want it because the art looks pretty, or it's their favorite Pokemon from the game or show.
And maybe they want to play the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's.
Yeah. There's something I did find that is younger kids tend to be, when I was looking into this, is that younger kids tend to be more into playing the game, whereas adults tend to be more into collecting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that, like, in the world we are now, you cannot get rid of a secondary. There really is no way to do it. That's the resale market, you know?
In fact, in looking into this, I saw a whole article about how the secondary market has killed the trading part of trading card games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It used to be people would just like call up their friend and be like, hey, I've got these, I don't need them, do you want anything from them?
It's like, go ahead.
I was about to say, even when I went into like one of those shops that were like secondary markets back in the day, I could literally trade the shop guy for a card if he had something he thought he could sell. You know, like I could trade a card for a card rather than
like when I was in high school, because I used to do a lot of drafting in high school in our club. We would all pitch in like $10, get a box. But back when the boxes were nice and big, and you got a lot of cards for your box, and they weren't $200 a box. I would genuinely just be like, okay, I would take the cards I want for my commander decks or my standard decks, and then I would just put all the stuff I didn't want in a box, and I would leave it in the club room for people just to take from.
Yeah.
Because I'm never going to play those cards. Whether they're cards that aren't good or cards that are in a color I don't like playing, I was never going to play them. I'm never going to sell them, because I think selling a card is stupid. It's not an investment, it's cardboard.
When I started playing Magic, it was an Unlimited. You know how I started playing? My brother bought a box of Unlimited. He didn't want to play red or green. He gave me his red and green cards. That's where he started. That's why I have like an old Raging River and like Stone and Rock Hydra and all these other, like the original Shivan Dragon from Unlimited. I have these because he just gave me these things. He's just like, here you go, and then I built a red-green deck because of the cards I had, because he gave them to me. You know, this is where I started with that, and there was trade that kind of went on during these time periods, and you kind of still were like, you know, understood value of things because it's really better cards during that time period, but it was a lot less secondary, like, you know, this is the value of it. A lot of things like I end up having an extra copy of Gauntlet of Might from Unlimited. I traded someone a for 2 decks a Gauntlet of Might. They were like, hey, I'm going to give you everything, including a Sliver Queen, to build a Sliver deck. And a bunch of rares and some cards to make a Shadow deck as a little extra. So, Gauntlet of Might is pretty expensive. It was expensive at that time. But again, like, you think about, like, would it be more valuable now? Yeah. But Sliver Queen's gotten up there very heavily. That's the only reason I own one.
Yeah. I mean, Gauntlet of Might is very expensive, to be quite clear. It's a very good card, but Sliver Queen, I think, might be more expensive.
That's a tough one to figure out.
I'm gonna look it up.
Sliver Queen's now 200, it looks like, and
Gauntlet of Might, well, depending. Well, okay, beta unlimited is $460. If you had beta, it's obviously way more expensive because beta cards are just
mine
more
would have both
expensive
been, like,
in general.
used now. So, like, the used for Sliver Queen's around 200. This would have been around. This is around like
Oh,
350.
yeah, so Gauntlet of
for
Might
used.
is about. Yeah.
So again,
I would personally rather have a Sliver Queen.
hey, so remember, this was an entire deck that included Sliver Queen.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I got a deck that had Sliver Queen in it, and if I include the deck and all the extra cards, it probably was about the same value, and even now would be about the same value. And I traded that because it's sort of like I had an extra, and the guy was like, "I need this for my collection. I'm willing to trade these because I got a bunch of these stuff." He'd been buying up a bunch of Tempest, Stronghold, and all this stuff, and had a bunch of cards from it. I think he had an extra Sliver Queen, honestly, probably. So, at the time, because you're collecting all of them. But that was the trade. I see it's kind of gone now. I think there technically is still a little bit of a trade market now, but it sounds like it is a lot more personal. Because I was hearing stories about this from, I forget who was talking about it, but I was it's in the background listening to someone talk about something. It was someone that got a little bit into Pokemon collecting, how when they needed something for their collection, they would go to their friends online. There's a streamer person. They'd go to their streamer friends and be like, hey, do you have an extra of this? I'll give you some of my extras, because I've been opening these up on stream and stuff. And that's a trading market now. There's people less looking for value at this point in time and looking for the trade to finish these collections and stuff. And I can see this becoming more of a thing now because of this. Because of an evolution in the market. And honestly speaking, because this is related to Pokemon cards, the insane price in some of these places, and then the lack of price in other places. Because it's sort of like either what you have is like $200, or maybe it's just rare and you don't get it and it's worth like $2. And it's the market.
Yeah, I remember back when I think Jace the Mind Sculptor came out. He was very expensive when he originally came out.
Yes.
So I don't really play, I play in blue, but I don't primarily play blue.
Mm-hmm.
I had one. I just straight up was like, hey, I'll give you this if you just I had a friend who had a bunch of a Johnnies and stuff in color, Planeswalkers and colors I played. So I was like, I'll give you this if you just give me a couple of your Planeswalkers, and that perfectly fine because I was never going to sell it. I was never going to play it. So I don't really like how a lot of Jace's cards are designed play wise.
I think it used
to be a several $100 card as well.
I think it's also nowadays that it's a lot easier in various places to find a trading market beginning to grow up again. Just because it's more and more people are beginning to realize it's a bitch to get the value out of your card.
Yeah.
If I have a $200 card, I can't get $200 for that. If I'm lucky, I can get close to it.
You're never going to get that.
Yeah, if you're lucky, you can get close to it. But then it also includes a lot of times I might have to grade it. I might have to shift it somewhere. There's a lot of little things you can do that make it, oh, bitch.
I have my opinions on grading that I think we could get into because it is related. I personally believe that, quite honestly, card grading, to become so popular, is what is killing these games.
It's unfortunately I feel like it was a lot easier back in the day where you just kind of had a there was a magazine that you could get in the late 90s, early 2000s. Was it Inquest? Where it had a lot of the prices at the time of publication of cards, but also had a grading scale in there. And the grading scale was basically like, and they would give an example of it, and it was just, is it mint condition, lightly played, heavily played, damaged? That was it.
Yeah.
And you could just look at a card and tell what it was. You know, you could be like, oh, this looks, this looks like it's been played a little bit. You got a little wearing on the corner. You know, it's on the light, the lightly played level of things. That's how much you can get.
And now you most use the 10-point scale, which you're never going to get a 10 because they don't exist.
I think that's the problem with the scale. The top end doesn't exist.
There is no such thing as a pristine card.
Yeah. Where, like, in the old grading scale I was talking about, mint existed. Mint doesn't mean, like, perfect necessarily. It means, like, if you open it from pack, it's just mint then. If you've never played it and just had it, like, in a folder, it's mint then.
Yeah.
That's top price. There you go.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Because, like, pristine means it has to have, like, basically never been touched by a human hand. Which is not what these fucking cards are meant to be, by the way.
Yeah.
These are meant to be played. They're meant to eventually look like shit. Because you're supposed to play them.
Mm-hmm.
If I, like, legit saw a kid playing with a Black Lotus, I'd be like, that's cool as hell. That's what you're supposed to do with it.
Yeah. I think there's very few of my cards which don't have, like, of the older ones that don't have a little bit of wear on them, because you know what happened with most of those cards? They were played.
You can tell when a card is... I have a Necropotence, which is so, like, worn and fucked up, because it goes in almost every commander deck I make.
You know, kind of makes me think of something where it's all like, you know, like I've heard it termed like, oh yeah, no, this card is well loved.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah.
I have so many well-loved cards because I play them. I don't put them in a folder.
It's well, now a lot of my older cards are in folders. Like I've got a bunch of.
Well, you can put them in folders, but like for storage, that's just convenient and for ease of access. But what I mean is like I don't like open a packet and put it in there to just sit there forever.
Oh yeah, no, I like trying to build decks out of cards when I get it off.
I mean, I used to do the thing, and this will make people like cringe nowadays. A lot of my decks were not transported in like a deck box. They were transported in the plastic bag with a rubber band around the deck, so it didn't get all fucked up.
Yeah.
Deck boxes, rubber bands, whatever you do. Yeah, that's the classic ways to do it.
And you would do you do a riffle shuffle because that was the cool way to shuffle.
Oh, I always like the pile shuffle like this.
You like that I mean that one looks cool. Riffle shuffle sounds satisfying though.
Yeah, riffle shuffle satisfying, but I was always the shuffle shiffa. You know, that was my kind of thing.
That's what I do now because it's just easier.
But of course, I got everything in sleeves at this point in time.
And you always let your opponent cut your deck, so you make sure you're not cheating.
But I mean, like,
even though that's not how you prevent cheating. There's not actually a way to prevent cheating from shuffling.
There's also not a. I mean, yeah, because technically there are ways around all types of.
Like if the person you're playing against has touched that deck, there's nothing you can do to stop them from cheating if they're good enough.
Yep. So, I think the thing is, the market exists. You're never going to get away from it. You're going to have to deal with it if you're going to look into collecting beyond just trying to buy random boxes.
Yeah. You can get away with not touching it if you're actually playing, because most places are down and cool with proxying.
Yeah.
Because some cards are just too expensive. The only issue is like if you want to be in official tournaments, you obviously cannot proxy because it's against the rules. But most gamesters are going to be like, for your Friday night matching, like, yeah, you can proxy, or your Pokemons or whatever.
I'm just like to make a standard deck out of this because I got it the other year, Bloomborough box. But I do want to build.
I have my fucking Neon Dynasty box over there that I have not touched yet.
I don't think I want to necessarily build a standard deck. I want to build a Bloomborough deck. That's what I want to do. A deck that's just stuff from here. you know,
full of cute things.
Yeah, I like doing that,
Very
taking like one set or a block of cards and then just making a deck out of that block or set. You know, I find that fun because it's sort of like exploring the mechanics of that set.
But it is still my fucking like Lorwyn deck from 2000 and whatever somewhere. And it's only cards from Lorwyn because that was the first set I got involved with Magic.
I've got a bunch of sets from after the Scars block because that's when I got back into things. I, of course, unfortunately have I have an effect deck that I don't touch anymore because it was from that block. Yeah, that came out. But I got a bunch of other decks I do touch.
I dismantled my infect deck, and I don't ever want to use those cards again. I think that's just a bad mechanic.
I leave it there.
I think most people agree that it's a bad mechanic.
It's like a threat to like anybody that like if you really piss me off, I'm gonna pull this out. Yeah. It's like
we're playing against Jay.
You think the sliver deck is if I'm pissed off at you? No. That's not the effect deck. That's if I'm angry at you.
We're playing against one of Jay's nonsense, or that aggro deck we played against one time.
Some of his decks are just like, what are you thinking of? It's like
sometimes you just build a deck to win.
That's why I like looking up those like weird stupid decks online and just pulling them. Like I picked the crab deck I found on Moxfield. I'm like, it's a crab deck. It's fun.
Yeah, and that's just fun.
Or that explore deck. I'm like, it's a little explore deck. It's like worth $50. You know, you can buy all the cards from here.
I mean, like I tend to build around the more fun. Like my Mr. House deck is on paper strong, but reality, I'm not playing to win. I'm playing so I can just roll as many dice as I can.
I'm not gonna lie. I think that crab deck could be very strong because if you get like the right combo of stuff out, it just is like my crabs are like 2020s. Enjoy, you know. It's just like
my favorite part about building a deck in Magic is when you build a thing and then you play it out and then you're like, oh wait, I accidentally just put an infinite combo in this.
I think like the crab deck just needs. I think just what I should like if I want to like improve it, I should be like, I'm just gonna remove one of the other things, just like add in a Chroma's Memorial, so they're all like flying first strike protection.
Hell yeah, more
crabs.
That's not. Well, no.
But enjoy war crime crabs. Because in Chroma's Memorial, it's just like I'm gonna word soup all my creatures. Yeah.
I don't play my Urza deck very often because it's quite strong. So I have the Urza that's like every turn he exists, he makes a Thopter.
I think it's just the secondary market is an interesting place for a lot of games right now. I feel like Magic's beginning to course correct, which is good. And I think like if we look at what's going on with Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, that's kind of where you want things to be. There is some healthy things that good game pieces have some value. I think Yu-Gi-Oh does it better, it sounds like, because they actually do have reprints of stuff.
Yeah, they actually reprint their cards.
That's good. Magic still suffers because they don't reprint cards that are important for
Magic suffers a lot because they're like, well, we want this card effect but slightly different with a different name because we're building around a plane of existence, which I think is very unique in what makes Magic cool, but it also falls into the issue of, well, you're never going to reprint older cards because you've just made a technically slightly different version of it.
And it's like that thing of like, they do it enough times, why don't they just have mechanically it's the same card, different name? They do that a lot already. I mean, just do that.
Yeah.
Just do Guy's Cradle, except it's called something else.
Well, that's kind of what Universes Beyond was originally supposed to be, and then it became not that.
Yeah.
Then they started printing unique cards.
And then they made the fucking Sonic the Hedgehog secret lair that still makes me angry.
Yeah. It's unique cards that you can't reprint then. Oh man! All these other ones you can reprint that you just choose not to. And then Pokemon, which is it's a mess. So we have this kind
Pokemon
of
has.
I
don't think you can fix Pokemon.
Yeah, I think because of the collector's nature of it, you're never going to fix the secondary market. The collector's nature is going to ruin it even more. You can make it more healthy, but it's never going to be great. I think it can be fixed a little bit by like
I know
fighting against scalpers basically.
The way it can be fixed is a way people are not ready to handle. It's the thing a lot of card shops have been doing. The way you have to fix it is when the box is purchased, you unseal it. Because that is the only way you can devalue it.
Mm-hmm.
But people aren't ready to take that step. And honestly, that step shouldn't need to exist, yet we live in a world where it's kind of becoming required.
I mean, yeah, that is also the thing where it's like, I don't think that'd bother me if someone did it.
It wouldn't bother me because I don't ever intend to resell stuff. I usually keep my boxes around because I like how they look most of the time.
Like, you know what this box is? I open up my Bloom Burrow, I remove my little card top, and it's just a pile of Magic cards in here.
Yeah, that's what my freaking Neon Dynasty one is. I just like it because it has the little, like, it has a really nice color to it, and the pop-up back is the Emperor, who is my current favorite Magic character, despite them kind of just, like, throwing her under the rug when they dealt with the Elish Norn. Just
they did a lot of they did it with so many characters. Like,
yeah,
they did
also
they did so many characters dirty. I think I really didn't like a lot of the ways they did.
My favorite part about that story is how they didn't commit to killing any major character.
They killed Tamio. I liked Tamio. I thought she was neat.
No one knows who that is.
That's the thing is,
I think they should have killed a Johnny and left him dead. They should have kept the Johnny dead.
I think a Johnny would have been a much more... Well, they killed Gideon, but, like...
Who the fuck cares about Gideon?
Yeah... It's the chicken... Didn't they kill Gideon when fighting Nicol Bolas or something? I don't remember. Oh, that's right, he died for Lyanna. But everybody likes Lyanna.
He died for being a simp.
He died for being a simp and kept the... Look, they had to keep the sexy goth mama. You know?
Oh, yeah, you can't get rid of her.
Yeah, see, that's what they have to do.
She's hot.
And then she became a professor for a while, and then she's back to being goth mama or something. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with her. I
don't really know what's going on in current Magic. I kind of skipped all the like hat sets. I don't care.
There's stories going on, but I just don't really know at this point in time.
I also saw a lot of Jace doing stuff.
I incidentally in just looking at cards because I haven't finished it, but I was taking one of my legacy decks and I was updating it because I hadn't done it in a while. So I was looking at cards from sets to see if there's anything interesting to add into it. And so looking through there, I picked up on more of the story than I knew about. And I'm like, oh, Jace has been on like a MacGuffin spree with like
he's like
some
he's
people
like a little furry
something.
Child now.
Yeah, like a furry child that gets into shenanigans.
He's also like I think officially together with his on-again, off-again girlfriend, Snake Lady.
The Snake Lady, you know? I got good for them. Good for them in their
I'm sure they'll show up in other sets. I don't really care about either of them, honestly. I don't really care about either of those characters.
I like a lot of the nice, healthy relationships they have. We have Val and his husband, and we have,
True.
Chandra's kind of hanging out with Lisa a lot. Kind of, but they're not healthy. I don't know.
I think they're not really healthy, but they are together.
And then, and
that book isn't canon, so it's fine.
And then Artificer Lady and her Dino girlfriend.
And then got Kaito and the Emperor are still around together.
They have a very.
I don't know if they got together. I don't know if they're still friends.
I think it's sort of that entire thing of.
I think it's implied.
We're in a relationship, but we can't talk about it because you're technically an emperor and I'm a serf, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's that the secret hidden lovers in the background is maybe I can become great enough a samurai for you for the society allowance to happen or something. I don't know. By the way, there's an incarnation of our god over there, our spirit god that's hanging out.
Fine.
With us.
Also, there's that giant tree. That's I think also a god.
Yeah, that's now integrated with all the universe. That also has like a dryad in it or something. I don't know. There's a lot of weird shit going on. Look, that's why sometimes not having a storyline is better because then we just have like we're visiting Aloha in Pokemon or in Yu-Gi-Oh.
I'm just gonna say it's still better.
We have something going on. I don't know.
It's still better than how they ended the original Dominaria shit of like everyone dies, but then this guy thought that's stupid and he rewrote the ending.
Oh, was that what happened with Karn and time traveling?
Yes. No, do you know the guy whose power is basically like he could just rewrite reality?
Was that Teferi? No, Teferi.
No, oh god, what the fuck's his name?
Is it not Joda? Because I know Karn time traveled for the Brothers War set.
It's Guff. Guff basically, like, Yawgmoth got out because Urza failed to stop him and just killed everyone on Dominaria, and Guff was like, that's dumb, and just rewrote the ending.
I didn't know
that's
he did that.
Yeah, that's how that ended.
Look, I just thought Yawgmoth got out, was killing everybody, and they just used the legacy weapon on him and called it a day.
No.
Everybody had died, and Guff rewrote it for that to happen?
Yeah, Guff just rewrote the ending.
That's so dumb!
Because I think Guff is a self-insert for one of the writers.
Like, I thought it was fine enough with just the basic storyline that was told. If that's in the novels, oh god, that's so dumb.
Yeah, Guff is based off the original novel writer.
Oh my god. Anyway.
Yeah, I watched the whole video on the story of Magic the Gathering. Quite a good video.
This is like storyline that I didn't pick up on because I don't read the novels.
It's they don't make them anymore, so it's fine.
Again, like
they learned their lesson.
Yeah, it's sort of like if you just go by the cards, it's just, hey, we activate the legacy weapon, it destroys Yawgmoth, call it a day. That's the storyline in the cards. You know,
it was really dumb, actually.
It's like, and a lot of people died because Yawgmoth showed up, and it's very sad. You know, it's oh god, Yawgmoth. He's a horrible death cloud of plague. This sucks. Let's shoot him with a light beam from a moon. Which is canonically what happened because apparently there's a super moon that's a super weapon in
yeah, it's for if you remember the card Guff rewrites history. Do you remember that card that exists? That's what that card's based on.
It's that actual card.
It's an instance that's really stupid.
God, I don't know this.
For each player, choose target non-enchantment, non-land permanent that player controls. Those permanents owners shuffle them to their libraries each.
From Commander Masters.
Yeah, this card is, I think, based off of what he did at the end of that plotline.
Wow.
Now, I don't like this card just because it has too much text on it, personally, but it is actually kind of a good card.
Player choose a non-enchantment, non-land permanent they can control. Who controlled one of these permanent X. For each player, choose a target non-enchantment, target non-land permanent. They shuffle it in their libraries. For each one who controlled those permanents, exile top their library to non-land. So it's basically you shuffle things in decks and get stuff.
Yeah, it's just a library shuffle.
Okay, I know about this for like other things. It's just like stuff that like is like, oh, shuffle that in your library and then get top card if it's a permanent you get or something. But this one they can cast if it's a non-land card they exile. Neat.
It's a good card for Commander.
It is a really weird card for Commander and pretty good because you can have stuff people get. I like it because you can get rid of stuff and everybody else, and for you can get rid of like something that you because you choose that. You know, so that's kind of interesting. It's like, oh, I get rid of all those, shuffle them in your deck, and you get something else in return. Cool. And I can shuffle something that I don't need right now into my deck and maybe get something I like. It's a Chaos card, but I like that Chaos card. Okay, cool. Guff rewrites history. Interesting card, but also, God, the fact that I didn't know about this, it's like one of those
Magic
things
is kind of really dumb. You should watch the Spice Rack video on the all history of Magic the Gathering. It's quite good.
It's like one of those things. It's like I know a lot of the stories, but there's aspects of the stories that I don't know in a lot of places because it's hard to pick those up if you're not just going by the card stories or like some of the published stuff. And that's one of those ones because it's the culmination of it that I gotta be honest, I did not know. The Guff rewrites history. Fuck you, Guff. Anyway.
I'm pretty sure you can use him as I think he's a commander now.
I think there might be a Guff card.
I think he has a commander planeswalker.
But anyway, we should.
Anyways.
We should move on.
That's old people rant about card game.
Yeah, it was related to it for a degree. But
yeah.
Anyway. At least Guff's
This is
dead.
why I wanted Momo here.
Yeah, that's
It
fair.
would have been a lot shorter.
Would have been a 5-minute conversation.
Yeah. Shall we talk about our week in gaming? Oh.
Yeah, we can do
What's
that.
in the way? Oh, did I maximize that? No. Oh, I kind of Okay. Oh, I see what we're doing. Yeah. Okay. All right then. Did anybody do anything last Sunday?
I don't think I did.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay. So quiet week last Wednesday.
Actually,
Last.
I don't
Wait,
know.
no.
I know we played Magic one day. I don't know what day it was. It might have
We-
been Sunday.
What day did we play Magic? Because
See, I don't remember because I know it wasn't Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday.
it might have been Sunday where I pulled out the Explore deck, and I think it went fine. I have fun with
Yeah,
that
I
deck.
played. I know I think we played twice this week.
I just remember Lynn's
'Cause there's
brought
the-
out a deck.
Yeah,
and it
the
hurt my
Saga deck
soul.
that like broke all of us mentally.
It broke all of us, but also it wasn't being done correctly. We
No,
figured
it
that
like
out later.
it broke me so hard I forgot how my commander worked.
Mm-hmm. There was a lot of aspects to that I was like,
It was like
doesn't
I don't
work this
understand.
way.
I don't know what's going on over here.
Granted, not playing it correctly made it worse, but even then, it
Yeah,
was still insane without it.
The Saga creatures are weird. I don't know. I still don't know if I like. I think they're a cool concept. I still don't know if I like them or not.
It was, and just to explain it, it was supposed to be one of the Terra for Final Fantasy VI as a commander, and the entire point was to use it's one of the flip ones, and you use it to copy basically sagas and
Yeah.
and saga creatures.
I think it was there's some read ahead going on as well.
We might not read ahead, but there was also the enchantment that sagas triggered twice. Oh no, it was the room from that
It was
sagas.
the room where
enchantments-
Saga triggered twice.
It was basically, I don't think it was supposed to be. It was basically enchantments triggered twice or something, and that counts as sagas. So sagas triggered twice, and so then it was like, it was having Terra like double it, and then using the Innistrad, I transform humans to get Terra transformed for free, and then basically using the stupid guy who gets instants or sorceries for exile from graveyards, so then you can cast the Terra thing. Even if it was so insane. I don't know.
It was a lot. And then we also had Jay's deck, which is all about venturing into the dungeon, which is also a complicated mechanic.
I mean, it was less annoying. I didn't mind that one as much, but it was like, I was seeing that there, and I'm like, I towards the end there, I was like, I don't know, I don't like what's going on in the direction of this venturing in a dungeon. It was going too far in little ways.
So I've played against that deck before. The whole point of it is to keep going through Tomb of Annihilation, basically like an infinite number on all of your turns to keep picking the damage room to everyone. But I think whatever the hell Lynn was doing kind of mentally broke everyone.
Yeah. Look, I was just exploring a lot and having a fun time.
I was just playing a dude who looks at the top of my card and gets stronger.
Yeah.
And I put stuff from my graveyard,
So
and then I forgot how I worked because I kind of mentally
we were just
broke.
vibing. These people were like,
you and I were just playing normal Magic.
and they were bringing destructive chaos.
They were playing nonsense.
Anyway, how about Monday then? Anybody do anything on Monday?
We almost finished River's game, but River got really sick, so I had to cancel last minute.
Shame. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
We're gonna hopefully finish that this week.
Okay. How about Tuesday then?
We finished Lightning's game. We went into a buried spaceship that is elven in nature, that was protecting the planet, like keeping it hidden.
Okay.
And then the guy we were fighting was like, I'm gonna turn this off and take the ship to go to other planets to do bad things. So we stopped him. We did win, but in the process, a series of poor decisions were made by Joe. The first decision was, instead of the plan I wanted to do where we let the ship go into space and deal with it once it's there, Joe crashed the ship into the planet.
Okay.
Which then caused the villain to get really mad because he couldn't use the ship anymore. He knew he was going to lose, to then cause the reactor to blow up, which has now caused a significant part of the continent to be covered in radiation. So It's gotten progressively worse on that planet. So all because of Joe.
Sometimes you apparently just create nuclear fallout.
But we did our job. We captured the demon. 3 people left the planet. My character remained because I'm going to be using my character as an NPC in the next game, which is going to be dealing with all of the aftermath of whatever the hell happened with some kind of spaceship exploding and poisoning a bunch of the elven lands. So elves really not having a good time right now.
I'm not gonna lie, elves on that planet always seem to get the short end of the stick.
Yeah, well now their cities are covered in radiation.
Yeah. It's just a weird thing of like, I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot about that setting which just kind of like, it's just kind of like unusual.
The good news is River Lighting and I have been having like a lot of conversation of we're running these games specifically to destroy it so River can remake it in like time skip 1,000 years or however long they need to make it make more sense.
Interesting.
Because sometimes when you build a setting, it gets a little out of hand. You're like, well, I kind of need to reset this thing.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, a lot of things have happened in that setting.
I have decided that if I ever play in the setting again after the time skip, I'm gonna play a paladin who really likes Smite Ball, who looks up to Perrin and acts like Cole from Gears of War. That's I'm gonna have a character that worships Perrin as a god, the god of football.
I kind of feel bad for Perrin. Perrin. Oh man. Stuff happened to you, buddy. You were interested.
He's I think canonically dead now. I think we joked and decided he died and got isekai'd somewhere else.
I'm fine with that. He deserves a different dimension. And I just imagine once again him and his Drake, who was now pseudo dragon, is reincarnated somewhere else. So it's like I think now it's now somewhere I will play an actual anime game and have parents show up. He's like, I was originally from these planets, but I think
the joke is gonna just become every time Lighting River and I run a game, Perrin's gonna show up somewhere and die again.
He just keeps getting isekai. Yeah, it's just
he's like the guy from Quantum Leap. The last leap will be his leap home.
Yeah, it's not happening. Poor Perrin. You ain't leaping home. Not this time.
Anyways, yeah, that was that chaos. We're gonna play Pathfinder in 2 weeks.
Ooh. Fun.
Yeah.
We had Wednesday, so we had Fall of Avonswell. It went interesting. Mm-hmm. So they got into a fight with a horrific bird monster, and that was part of the episode. Because,
as one does.
It's combat. It goes.
Yeah, it was more of a failed stealth check, sneaking around that got us in the encounter.
And like it was, I gave you guys pretty big berth, but you really failed that. Like you either did really well or really terrible. So it's like you really failed that stealth check. It was like. Yeah. Well, I guess nothing's fighting you. But then it was a series of trying to figure out how to infiltrate a battle line and get into a town. It became such a more interesting adventure than I thought it would with you all going across it. Because it's sort of like we had half the team going stealth, and the other half like going pretending disguise. Yeah. And the amount of like weird checks and encounters we had was pretty fun, I think.
Yep. That was fun. Did you plan for any of that?
Very little of it. Okay. Let me put it that way. The direction.
Thought so.
Basically, I was originally thinking, because it was night, you would have just tried to cross that no man's land. You basically, so that we had the initial kind of like crossing the line kind of stuff and a little bit there.
Well, we talked about using the disguise stuff, so but yeah, we could have just gone straight across, but then I realized there'd be if we just started to go across, they would have shot at us, which would have been probably fine, but
it ended up being much more exciting, I think, in a lot of ways, and I think that's fun.
There was another way, I realized.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely a much more interesting other way. I just basically had to put together a few like possible extra encounters, which I had some ideas about it. And you know, I did put a little bit of an extra ticking clock on something, as you know, you do get the feeling I said kind of what it is. It's they have a way to break in, but they're probably going to siege you a bit and just throw some siege weapons at you because honestly they want to make you suffer
first.
Yeah, weaken, suffer a little bit, you know, that kind of thing. So anyway, it was fun. I've been doing anything on Thursday.
I don't think so. Besides play Rogue Trader, and Jerry talked about.
Okay. We just did some gaming on Friday. Did anybody do anything earlier today?
I worked, but that's not tabletop related.
Nah, I didn't do anything tabletop related. Worm, do you have your game or anything that sometimes you have Saturdays?
I did have my game today, yes. So finally back to that. There was 2 weeks of delay, but yeah, we basically, so again, last time we ended with basically us just burning down a curtain that led to another room and there being enemies on the other side. So we fought them off. My character, the curtain apparently let off a horrible cursed smoke that I failed my save for, so I was coughing for 4 rounds, so I couldn't do much. But then after that, I fought. Okay, it's so weird because like my character actually has a very low chance to hit because I'm a freaking wizard thief. And yet I always hit with my sling. I do no damage, but like, you know, I just have so few spells that I end up using my sling a lot, and also I'm too squishy to get up in combat. But I hit a lot. So I'm always chipping down the health of enemies, and I've taken out a few on my own because it's just been like a mook on the side who people have been focusing on other things. So, but yeah, then we retreated. Then we decided to retreat because everyone's out of resources. And when we went backwards, we noticed that the stone statues that were kind of flanking the area were now in front of the stair. Ooh. So we had to fight them to escape. And that was basically where we left off. A lot of combat.
That's not so bad. Some good combat games and stuff like that, please. Neat. Okay. All right then. I guess that's our week in gaming then. You know, that might be a good place to kind of stop for today. Hey, thanks everybody for joining us. Thank you, Worm and Momo, for joining me today. I guess Worm, you have your shout out if you want to give it here.
Yeah. I am DiamondWyrm. You can find me on twitch.tv/DiamondWyrm or at DiamondWyrm on Twitter, Blue Sky, and DiamondWyrm9234 on YouTube. Next stream should be tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. PDT.
And unless you have anything else to add in more,
I nothing.
Yep. Myself, Dracovin, I'll be back on Tuesday for some gaming. Make sure to join me, of course, over the course of the week for tabletop-related stuff. We should record and do a lot of stuff there. And make sure to join Fall of Avonswell next week on Wednesday. And, of course, this show next Saturday. Everybody, have a great rest of your weekend. And, yeah, we'll see you all later. Bye-bye.